two, one, go. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our episode of Groundbreakers Transforming Geotech. Today is a important and exciting one for tunnelers, and we have Mr. Pavel with us today. He is a surveyor, expert, and most importantly, very, very passionate about tunnels. But today we're going to discuss his global journey from India to the Middle East and now back home in Germany, technologies that have impacted him and the industry as he's progressed in his career, and a little bit about a surveyor's life, because I don't think we've ever had the chance to get one on this podcast to really tell them what goes on site, what goes on off site. So that's the plan for the podcast today. And currently, he's back home in Germany working as a product manager, software, and really trying to impact the industry in the best way he can. So, thank you, Pavel, for being on the podcast today.
Thank you, Ritvik, for inviting me. I'm happy to be your guest.
So, let's start. I think the most exciting part for me is really talking about your move from a survey project manager while having a global career. So you've had a journey in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the Chennai Metro in India, and now Germany. So can you talk a bit about what inspired you to enter this field and how your career has evolved over time?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. So everybody thinks about his career when he studies at university. For me, a very important thing was to travel. I wanted to go abroad and to work on international projects. And exactly metro or tunnel construction was the job which offered me this. Maybe you always have. I started the search job, and probably you always have a good luck to find a good company to start with. And there was a company with a good team leader, with a good mentor, who showed all the interesting aspects of surveying and tunneling. So I started my career to work as a topo surveyor, and it's a very basic thing. And then out of a sudden, I came to a world where you count millimeters with precision meters, and you are on the far edge of the technology of surveying, and this inspires a lot, I would say. So this was the start of my journey. So I would say
Awesome.
traveling, high technology, and good mentors are important things, ingredients in this.
And I think it's all about like cooking the right with the right ingredients. And you got the mentors, you got the technology, and you got the experience. And one thing that stood out to me was that you went from topographic to millimeter level precision. And I don't think a lot of people realize that whether it's an underground tunnel or the tunnel being built in the middle of the desert in near millimeter level surveying and monitoring matters, because especially in cities, right? Like you have buildings, you have people living their daily lives, and you have a TBM going under you. Well, there could be one
Mhm.
in Delhi Metro going under us while we're recording the podcast, hypothetically. So it is a very important field. So let's talk a bit more about your experience with technology, right? So you said millimeter level precision monitoring. So how has that evolved? What are the new equipments that have come? How have they helped you? Have they made your life easier, harder? How have they really impacted you?
Mhm. So I started. We had only usual total stations, and more and more we started to have robotic total stations. So even on my first project, 2012, this was Chennai Metro in India. So we had half of total station robotic, half of total station non-robotic. So now in our area, robotic total station 1 millimeter 1 second accuracy are the industry standards, and this makes surveyors work so survey works much easier. So you got more precision measurements. You can collect much more measurements. A second thing I would point out, laser scanner technology. So right now, clients want very often scan of the work done. This we did for Doha Metro. We scanned all the built stations there. And this technology is also evolving. So from my first touch with this technology in 2017 to now, there is a SLAM technology, SLAM algorithm right now. So you can either it makes you faster, or even you can walk through through the building. Um, and then we had in Neon project a very good combination. It was TopCon 1200, and this is a combination of total station and laser scanner. I love this instrument. So you literally make resection with total station. You can do work as total station, and then you can do a laser scan. And for conventional tunneling, this is also a super nice technology. You don't need to collect all these, let's say 100 points, which you need to collect from one station. You just do a 1 minute scan, and then you process it in the office. So this, for example, in this case, it helps to reduce the work cycle, the time when surveyor works. And these works are on critical path, and it means it's 1 minute or it's 20 or 30 minutes. And last but not least, I would mention cloud-based technologies, services. So when I started, we didn't have internet in the tunnel. We communicated via radios, and this was until 2018. And in 2018, boom! Since then, all the tunnels have very good internet connection, broadband. You can broadcast when you are there. You are connected to the local Wi-Fi network, and you can broadcast videos and share the files. And this brings us to many more opportunities how to use it.
That's interesting because I like growing up, being born in 2001, you would think internet's everywhere. And till 2018, you were communicating in tunnels with radios. And so that's one insight that I think really shows us where the world has come. And now in 2022, we had GPTs become a common commodity. And the paper by Google on that was in 2016 that really impacted the
Mhm.
transformer. So that also really shows that, and today we still don't see a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning coming in. We see innovations in laser scanners like SLAM. So that really shows that even though the tech space, technology, IT is moving so fast, there's still a big, big gap that we can bridge in our industry of tunneling or civil engineering as a whole. And that's where the magic can come. So you mentioned a bit about Doha Metro SLAM technology. You mentioned Chennai Metro. You mentioned NEOM. At NEOM, you were with a couple of good friends of mine, like Amit, who always talks very
Mhm.
highly of your surveying skills, but also of your team management skills. So it was a bit of multicultural environments, working with an Indian organization in an Indian project, working with another organization in a Middle Eastern project, going from Qatar to Saudi, from Dubai. So how did that shape you? You know, working with people from different cultures, different parts of the world.
Uh, yeah, as I said, at some extent, this was my school or university dream to work in this environment. And my first international project in Chennai, this was a really nice, interesting, everyday experience. I tried to absorb everything what I had there. We went to every day. We went to a local restaurant, eat to eat local food, um, everything. So and then I think I absorbed so much of South Indian culture from Tamil Nadu, and yeah, then I moved to Qatar, and then again, you see there even more people from around the world. Of course, lots of people from India as well, mostly from Kerala, but everywhere else as well. So, and lots of people internationally from Philippines, Pakistan, England, Germany, and this makes uh, you know this is also you see lots of people, lots of culture. You're exposed every day. You can talk to somebody new, and also this makes you see that people or engineers of the world of the all countries of the world, they have very similar mentality. Uh, Also, I would say here the case of Middle East is very interesting because you see all the people, they come there for same reason, to get uh, um, to become more professional, and secondly to gain money and bring them to home country. And this is, you see this from engineers from every corner of the world, and in the end you share same values, you have same targets, and this is interesting.
Yeah, that's a unique insight as well. And I think it's very cool that you got to work with people from all over the world. And yeah, the Middle East does have the craziest projects and the coolest infrastructure coming up at every time. So it also gives engineers a great way to really work on complex engineering problems that they wouldn't get to otherwise. So I want to dive a bit into the technicality now. So you mentioned the TopCon laser scanner and total robotic total station that had a big impact. Are there three or four more tools that really had that impact on you, or that are like, wow, this has changed my day-to-day work? And also after that, let's dive a bit into gyroscopes because that's something very, very niche that very few people really know about. But I think that's a
Mhm.
technology that can be scaled and have a huge impact on construction companies, asset owners, and the people, engineers working with them.
Yeah, so you mentioned gyroscope, and this is a technology which was very important on all our projects. I would say some projects would not be able even to complete with good accuracy without using the gyroscope. First of all, it's a surveying instrument which costs 300,000 euros or so, and yeah, this maybe makes you shocked when you need to carry it from one position to another or assist during the work. So you carry some price of one apartment. Yeah. So yeah, but this is of course a very precise instrument, and first of all, it works like a very precise compass which you bring from the surface to the underground, and which can always point you direction to the north, and it helps you when you do a tunnel network. It helps you to correct your bearing, and thus bring your tunnel network to proper direction. Yeah. So yeah, this technology we used on all our projects, and yeah, the result was always good. So you need to arrive. It depends on the project requirements, but you need to arrive in the reception shaft either plus or minus 10 centimeter, or even on some projects the requirements are even more strict, 5 centimeter plus minus 5 centimeter, right, left, up and down. And gyroscope helps to bring your alignment right or left correctly.
So it's like alignment in X and Y and 5 centimeters. So how do you guys get that? Like, is it
Yeah,
always challenging or is it like a set standard procedure?
Uh,
Oh,
it's kind of standard. So we develop a standard procedure, and then you do, of course, multiple measurements. And as I mentioned, we use robotic 1 second instruments, and you get multiple measurements. And also the software, like we use Microsoft StarNet. It allows you to bring all the measurements in one project and calculate them together. And as more measurements, you increase your accuracy. This is the first thing. And secondly, you apply gyroscope measurements on them. Normally, we make campaign every 1 kilometer, so it's recommended. So you do one campaign at the entrance of the tunnel, then after 1 kilometer, after 2 kilometer, and so on. So every kilometer you get correction of your direction. For levels, there's no big drama because you can
yeah.
always perform precise leveling, and then you go double run. So this normally no drama, no problem with leveling, but with position. So if you imagine a line of a site, or you can imagine two control points, and you have 100 meters between them, but probably the
Mm.
coordinate of one is not very correct by 3 millimeter, three
Yeah.
millimeter on 100 meters. And then this results you much more on 1 kilometer and even more on 2 kilometer, and finally you cannot hit your target. So here is important to do the correction of the
Mm.
direction.
So the corrections do happen a lot, but the leveling is no drama, like you said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool, and I think that's something that goes unnoticed because when we see a construction site, like all kids get fascinated by the big machines. Geotechs get fascinated by the geology and all about pile tests, etc. But the surveyors really are the ones using the 300,000 euro technologies or the $100,000 laser scanners to give that precise measurement and then really integrating that with the geospatial geodetic data with the geotechnical data and geological data to give that ultimate result of safety. So I have a question. So how do you see that integration, like not on a software exactly, but really with teams? Because there are different teams. There's monitoring teams, there's surveying teams, there's the construction team, there's the data manager. So how do you see that relationship in these large scale projects like NEOM or Dubai or Doha Metro? Like, how's the collaboration?
Data management, I would say, important here. And first of all, as I mentioned, right now we have internet in the tunnel, and we can develop different cloud-based technologies. Even let's say in a more simple way. I know in the many construction sites, especially in Middle East, they adapted WhatsApp, and communication goes with WhatsApp, so and quite efficiently. You have instant messages, you have photos, uh, and you can get videos if you want it. But it's important that there's also a development of cloud-based platforms, softwares which go. So, for example, VMT is developing a cloud-based software for shift management. And also, if you take a tunnel boring machine, Henneknecht, you get all the parameters of the machine to the software. It's all integrated in one platform. As a project manager or even engineer, you can instant access to this data. You can see more or less what's happening on the tunnel. Yeah, in addition, there are technologies like tracking. So if you have Wi-Fi in the tunnel, you can track your personnel. So it's literally you have your helmet, and on the helmet you have a beacon or a tag,
Yeah.
and then with precision of, let's say, 20 meters, you are detected in the tunnel, and you can see on this stretch I have this amount of people. These people are here, and super important feature for safety. And we know that safety is a priority on the tunneling. yeah, then I had a good impression with Procure team on the Intergeo, and the software is really great. So this is how you integrate various monitoring sensors in one, and very important, not only the data, not but it's very important to get a good visualization of the data, because I think it's very often that people get lots of data and they could not use it because it's in a tabular format, and you cannot really read the trends. So good visualization, online data, cloud-based access from every point of world. It's very important.
I like those insights and what so I think the two key things for everyone is that like WhatsApp, right? Like it changed the game and it was a general purpose technology for you to text your family and friends, but it's being used to communicate in tunnels in the Middle East. VMT now is making an integration platform for shift reporting. You mentioned tracking people through cameras based on the beacon on the helmet, and now we can
Mm.
apply machine learning algorithms to really assess how much they're working, how the progress is based per user, but also on the safety using machine learning vision. And we see that from the days of AlexNet back in the day in Stanford University to what machine learning vision has really come to now. And then, of course, ProQ you mentioned as an integration platform that really gives people the insights on what they need on their project. And that's just four things we talked about. And I feel like there's so many more technologies coming on the cloud, coming on the hardware, coming to help the surveyors, coming to help the surveying project managers as we evolve. And that's something I think that through the globe, this podcast is really aiming to share that, you know what, it's not about using Excel anymore. It's not about manually installing an inclinometer anymore. It's not about LoRa, and it's not about high-speed data logging, and it's not about having 20 surveying teams in NEOM like you experienced with our
Mm.
team in NEOM. It's really about monitoring, working together, and delivering the project on time within budget, but also adding value to the community. So I think it's technology that really helps humans progress faster. So I think let's wind down a bit from the technicality, and you've had a lot of experience. What is like some advice you would give to a young person who's maybe hearing this podcast and thinking, tunnels might be cool now, to join as a surveyor to explore the field of surveying?
Just just go to tunnel. uh, just I would say tunnel surveyors. This is the most interesting job. But the thing is that until very end of the project, you don't know, and nobody knows where they are. And this is a drama because everybody did their job. They built 99% of the tunnel, and 5 meters remain. They can start celebrating, but only surveyors, they till the very end, your heart is like, going faster and faster to see the TBM breaking through the portal. So this is a job with lots of suspense. So
Yeah, I
if
think
you
that's a
love
good way to
suspense,
put
then
it.
just go to this job.
Yeah. I think the way you put it is that people start celebrating 1 kilometer to go, but until the TBM is out, the surveyors are on guard. So
But
I think that, yeah, no, no, go ahead.
yeah, but and of course, we have a good community of surveyors, of tunnel surveyors worldwide. So if you work a couple of years here, you will know many people, and after that, the market is so global. So uh, people who work in Australia and Singapore and the Middle East, in Germany, in USA, and we know each other well. We meet, or you meet somebody and he works with your former colleague. So I really appreciate this international feeling here in our community.
Yeah, but I think it's getting closer and closer as technology and communication is helping us do that. And I think to sum up the podcast, so I met you at Intergeo. I heard a lot about you from Amit at your time at Incardio, and the time we spent there, which was barely 30, 40 minutes, it was very insightful to understand your experiences. But one question that I forgot to ask you there was that when you were walking through those three halls, there were stalls of many, many companies, many
Mhm.
GNSS, thousands of laser scanners, SLAM. You saw some robots, you saw radars, you saw software. How do you see the industry evolving in terms of technology? And what trends should aspiring engineers, but also entrepreneurs in the field who are building this technology keep an eye on?
Mhm. Mm, yeah, lots of lasers can you start, but I saw this even 2 years ago in Intergeo in Essen. I see more survey companies and more, sorry, software companies and the companies which aim to, for data management as well. I see lots of this year. I saw lots of Chinese companies, and this is something very important. And then they make a good product as well. So it's more and more complicated for European and American companies to compete on the market. Uh, yeah, I saw of course a new gyroscope and from DMT on this exhibition as well. So this is good to point out that even these high-end technologies they develop. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
we have there were a few small companies which I also liked. For example, the company which produced survey software for GNSS survey, and they do it more easy way than Trimble or Leica, and you got access to the software not from a huge logger. You get access to the software from your smartphone, which is really
Wow.
tiny. And this is I don't understand some this thing from our giants of industry like and Topcon. They stick to huge devices which are not very comfortable for surveyors, and they do not stick to small devices like a smartphone which you have in the pocket. And I would say since we can do our banking, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything we can do from our phone, and this is my approach to this technology. So why do we need these huge devices to input surveying data in the field?
I think that's a great way to wrap it up. If we can live our day-to-day lives with our smartphone, why can't we, as surveyors and even in monitoring, do more from our phones? Do more with voice, do more with AR, VR as the industry goes forward. And that's a question I encourage all engineers working in this field to develop technology for this field to start thinking about. So, Pavel, thank you so much for being on the episode today. It was a pleasure having you, discussing your journey, discussing the vast variety of significant projects I feel that you've been a part of, from the Chennai Metro having an impact on the citizens of one of the largest city in India to Doha Metro, which really changed the game of that country, regardless of the World Cup being there or not, to the Dubai Sewer Tunnel and also to NEOM, because if that comes through, it's going to be one of the most inspiring infrastructure projects in the world, and really giving that insight that until the project isn't over, until the TBM isn't out of the bottle, the surveyor is always on. So it was a pleasure, and I hope to keep sharing your story through the podcast and having more discussions with you. And thank you so much once again.
Yeah, thank you, Ritvik. It was a pleasure to meet you at Intergeo. It was a pleasure to meet you today. I hope to meet you at Intergeo next year as well. It will be in
Yes.
Frankfurt.
Yes, we can do Groundbreakers at Intergeo next year with everyone. Maybe. Yes.
I think it can be a good idea.
Yeah, we should email the host after this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.